Gypsy Rose Blanchard has officially deleted her social media, but before she did, she issued a public apology. Although the video has since been deleted, we do know what was said in it. Why did Gypsy feel the need to issue an apology in the first place? Let's talk about that. Gypsy was believed to be in hot water after speaking out against a skeptic who called Gypsy a master manipulator and basically implied that she was the mastermind behind her mother's demise, who knew exactly what she was doing all along. She wasn't as much the victim everyone made her out to be, according to Brittany. Brittany_Ike on TikTok claimed that Gypsy lived nearby, and the thought of running into Gypsy scared her. After looking into Gypsy's case, Brittany felt that Gypsy manipulated her then boyfriend Nicholas into taking her mother Dee Dee's life, knowing full well what she was doing. Brittany claimed that Gypsy took advantage of Nicholas Godjohn, using him merely as a tool to eliminate her mother. Some others online have also subscribed to this narrative, pointing out inconsistencies they've noticed in Gypsy's story. At one point, Gypsy responded by calling out Brittany in the comments. In her response, she gave the area she lived in and then made a challenging remark in all caps. "Bet you won't say it to my face, go on." Some have said this comment could be taken as a threat, and as Gypsy is still on parole after being released from her sentence early, might be enough to actually land her back in jail. This is likely the kind of behavior that Gypsy is referring to in her since deleted social media apology. It went, of course, along with all her social media posts when she deleted her social media. In the apology, Gypsy Rose Blanchard stated that she felt regret and that she wanted to apologize to all the people she offended with a lack of accountability. She went on to say that accountability was so important for her and that she acknowledged that what she had done was bad. She said she did take accountability and acknowledged that she had been given a second chance at life. She also said she wanted to take steps forward and thanked everyone for hearing her out. "Let my actions match my words and we'll go from there. I definitely have a good support system and I think I'm just now starting to get around to listening to my inner self instead of all the noise that's been on social media. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching and hearing me out." After making that post, later on during the same evening, Gypsy Rose deleted her social media across all platforms. A source reportedly told People that the apology post was actually recommended by Gypsy's parole officer, so she won't get in trouble and go back to jail. Who is Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and why do so many people care about her social media and what she has to say on it? Gypsy Rose was believed to be a victim of Munchausen by proxy, a mental illness basically where a primary caregiver uses the person that they're caring for to get attention themselves. In Gypsy's case, her mother Dee Dee was the one who is believed to have had this condition, and it drove her to feign and make up illnesses for her daughter. Gypsy stated in court that her mother made her believe she suffered from cancer, specifically leukemia, muscular dystrophy, made her believe that she needed glasses and hearing aids, and made her also believe she had a seizure disorder. Dee Dee shaved Gypsy's head to make her seem like a cancer patient. She administered Oragel to her mouth to make her salivate excessively, convincing medical professionals that Gypsy actually needed her salivary glands removed, something she'll have to live without for the rest of her life. In fact, Dee Dee convinced medical professionals to not just perform one surgery on her daughter, but multiple, convincing them that she had multiple ailments. If a doctor started to become skeptical, she apparently would just simply refuse their opinion and then move on until she found another doctor who actually believed her. This also had gone on since Gypsy was a baby, with Dee Dee convincing people that her baby actually had sleep apnea, and even convinced Gypsy's father, Rod, that Gypsy was actually born with a chromosomal disorder, which led to many different health issues and complications, hence why Gypsy suffered from so many illnesses. In reality, Gypsy was perfectly healthy. It wasn't until she started getting older that Gypsy started to realize her mother had lied to her and manipulated her for her own gain. Pretty messed up. Gypsy conspired with an online boyfriend at the time, Nicholas Nick Godjohn, and convinced him to help Gypsy escape by coming to her home and eliminating her mother. He attacked Dee Dee while she slept, and the two escaped together back to Nick's home, but were of course eventually tracked down and arrested by the authorities. Gypsy would plead guilty in court to second-degree murder as part of a plea bargain. In exchange for pleading guilty, Gypsy Rose received only 10 years in prison with the chance of parole. She was released earlier, which I think is even a little bit crazy, because what Gypsy went through in her life, not that I'm saying that it warrants, murder, but it sounds honestly really terrible. Gypsy was released earlier in later 2023 on December 28th, right before New Year's Eve. She took to social media to celebrate her freedom after getting out, even sharing a post that showed her sharing a New Year's kiss with her now husband, Ryan Scott Anderson, whom she married in 2022 while she was still incarcerated. Gypsy also claimed during her time in prison that she actually had more freedom there than she felt she'd had while under the care of her mother Dee Dee, which is wild to think about. Although she did regret the death of of her mother and her involvement in it, stating on Dr. Phil that while she was glad that she was out of the situation, she was not happy her mother was dead. Nick Godjohn, on the other hand, was found guilty of first-degree murder in 2018 and was sentenced to life in prison for his part in the crime. Gypsy has had her story adapted multiple times, in some cases without her even giving consent to use her name and even tell her story, like with the miniseries The Act, which was released in 2019 and was made without Gypsy Rose's blessing or her consent. Co-produced by BuzzFeed journalist Michelle Dean, who wrote the initial viral article about Gypsy Rose's and Dee Dee's story. That's about it. I'm your host Amanda, and for this story, now you know.